All right. Grand rising, my beautiful people. All right. I like to first let us give recognition and acknowledgement to all our ancestors and all those who had came before us, who is no longer in the physical degree. All right. So today, or in this piece of information, I want to reveal some, just a small portion, not going to be long, of the knowledge of the Nommo, the Dogon Decoded by Mr. Ross Ben. Right? Grand rising to Christopher Baju. Peace, love, and light to you. It's not going to be long because information isn't actually supposed to be some long and drawn out lecture or speech. You know, most people don't even have an attention span past 3 minutes today. So we want to kind of like change the format in the way we are enlightening people today. Because we're working against a lot of principalities in high places. In this book titled Knowledge of the Nomos by Ross Ben, Dr. R.A. Shabazz writes that the independent research and scholarship of the scribe author Ross Ben is consistently as timeless in its importance as the subject matter he engages. This is certainty. For a mental note, I'm going to put this here so that my viewers could get an idea of what this book looks like, just in case you was to ever want to get this book. It's very profound. It may cost you about 40 to 50 bucks. It's a little bit different than the books that you know of. Of course, this is the back of it, and on the back of books, you're supposed to read, pretty much what the book is about. Well, if and when you learn signs and symbols, you start to translate, well, not so much translate, but deal in the world in such manners of using signs and symbols, understanding what you are depicting and appropriately manifesting that symbol. So this is how we're going to actually stay above and ahead of the game. All right? If you see what I'm talking about. So let's get back into this information by Mr. Shabazz. This is just a little small introduction about Mr. Ross Ben. This is why I'm reading this aspect. So, this is certainly true in Ross Ben's fifth and newest book, Knowledge of the Nommo, the Dogon Decoded, in which the enigmatic Dogon people are the subject, all right, of ancient Nile Valley origins. Ross Ben explores ancient texts that establishes the historical context under which the Dogon migrated from Africa's northeastern Nile Valley and resettled to this day in a desolate western African mountain region in Mali, bordering Burkina Faso. Okay? Rosben's knowledge of the Nommo provides a relatively succinct study of the dense, deep, ubiquitous cosmic astronomical omniversal awareness of the Dogon. It is another Rosben classic volume as timeless in its future importance as the profound insights to be deciphered in an analyzing Dogon cosmic lore and astronomical law. A provocative passage, Turner, from its beginning, most intriguing in knowledge of the Nommo is Rosbin's concise deconstruction of the spiritual, theological aspects of the Dogon astronomy. He shares a similar African perspective with author Kaba Hiawatha Kamini's remembrance that spirituality, and we quote, is unseen science, and science is seen spirituality. All right, so let's get into part one of the Dogon origins, a geochronology of Africa and the Sahara. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. I want to welcome everyone, of course, with the God, NATETHEGREAT, and I'll be serving you for a little point of time. All right. Africa is big. Because of the projection angle most Western maps use, one often does not comprehend how large the continent actually is. A Peters projection map is needed to graphically represent Africa's true size. This is important in comprehending the enormity of the Sahara Desert, the world's largest hot desert. It covers 8% of the Earth's landmass. Check. The entire continental United States, Alaska, and Hawaii could fit in the Sahara, and there would still be tens of thousands of square miles of open desert left. The size and nature of the Sahara empowers it to be a major influence of global weather patterns. Saharan monsoons dictate the trade winds of both the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. Saharan sands blowing across the Atlantic impact hurricane frequency and intensity. Moreover, the expanse of the Sahara and the logistics of conducting trade either through or around its sand has been a prime motivating political economical factor driving international affairs for the last 5,000 years. However, the Sahara has not always been the dry, sandy landscape as you know of it today. For at least the last 150,000 years, the Sahara actually appears to go through a cycle of greening every 20,000 years. A research team led by UK scientists, and we can look them up so that we can be factual. Tom J. Coulthard, spelled Coulthard, Mr. Tom, of the University of Hull, Hull, used satellite imagery of what is actually under the sand, as well as a state-of-the-art Earth system model to reconstruct past rivers, lakes, and water systems across 20 billion square kilometers or kilometers of the Sahara Desert region. The researchers determined that during the last intergalactical period, which began about 130 years ago and ended about 114,000 years ago, called the Emani climate period, capital EMIAN climate period. The Sahara was much water. Wetter. Same thing, water, wetter. In fact, there were three significant rivers now submerged in the sand that not only provide lush vegetation and diverse wildlife to the vast area, but corridors that connected the Maghreb, Northwest Africa, and the Atlantis Mountain Water Basin, the Nigeria River Basin, the Congo River Basin, to the Nile River Valley. The researchers concluded that early modern humans, beings, or whatever you want to call them, migrated northward to the Mediterranean as well as eastward to the Nile Valley from their original southern homelands in Africa through these green corridors. Okay, let us keep in mind, Africa was not always named Africa, but we're going to keep in with the reading. During the Eminem climate period, and I'm probably pronouncing that word wrong, but I spelled it for you, so you can look it up for yourself, so you can see the beautiful illustration of what the word depicts. The planet's average temperature was several degrees warmer in the northern hemisphere. At the warmest peak of the Emanian climate around 125,000 years ago, forests reached as far north as North Cape, Norway, well above the Arctic Circle at 71 degrees north. Hardwood trees such as hazel and oak grew as far north as Finland. The hippopotamus was distributed as far north as the river Rhine and Thames due to the northward migration of the tropical rain belt at this unique time in the geochronology of the planet. It was a suitable environment for early Africans to migrate throughout Europe and Asia, what is known today as Europe and Asia. Two of the rivers flowed south to north. The Sahabi and Kufra, flowing from the Lake Chad region. These rivers flowed through modern Libya and emptied into the Mediterranean. However, the third river, the Ihara, is the one waterway that appears to be the most significant green corridor in regards to human migration. This river connected northwest Africa to the Nile, originating in the Hagar Mountains water bases in Algeria, traversing west to the Tabisti Mountain watershed in central Chad, then traversing a northeastern path and connecting with the Nile, not far from current Memphis. There was also another significant waterway that is actually now under sand that connected the Congo River Basin to the upper southern Nile around Aswan via a northeastern trajectory. There were three significant rivers now submerged in the sand that connected the Maghreb, which is Northwest Africa, the Atlantis Mountain Water Basin, the Niger River Basin, and the Congo River Basin to the Nile River Valley. Modern humans migrated northward to the Mediterranean as well as eastward to the Nile Valley from their original southern homelands in Africa through the Green Corridors. All right, we stated that. These ancient rivers did not make the annals of Pliny the Elder. While reflecting on the source of the Nile, Pliny states the source of the Nile are uncertain and traveling as it does for an immense distance through desert and burning sands. It is only known to us by common report, having neither experienced the vicissitudes of warfare nor been visited by those arms which have so effectually explored all other regions. It rises so far indeed as King Jobo was enabled to assertion in a mountain of Lower Mauritania, not far from the ocean, immediately after which it forms a lake of standing water, which bears the name of Nilides, 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 okay? And this lake are found the several kinds of fish known by the names of alabeda, carassinus, and silurus. Let us spell these words. First, we're going to look at the alabeda, which is Alabeta, the carassinus, it's pronounced as carassinus, is spelled Coracinus. And then there's the silurus, Silurus. So a crocodile also was brought thence as a proof that this really is the Nile, and was consecrated by Juba himself in the temple of Isis at Caesarea, where it may be seen at the present day. In addition to these facts, it has been observed that the water of the Nile rise in the same proportion in which the snows and rains of the Meridian increases. The Mauritanian is actually what the word we saying here, which is spelled Mauritania, not Mediterranean, but Mauritanian, pouring forth from this lake. So the river disdains to flow through arid and sandy deserts, and for a distance of several days' journey conceals itself, after which it bursts forth at another lake of greater magnitude in the country of the Massilia, a people of Mauritanian, and thence cast a glance around, as it were, upon the communities of men in its vicinity, giving proofs of its identity in the same peculiarities of the animals which it produces. All right. So it then buries itself once again in the sands of the desert and remains concealed for a distance of 20 days' journey till it has reached the countries of Ethiopia. Here, when it has once more become sensible of the presence of man, it again emerges at the same source in all probability to which writers have given the name of Niger or Black. After this, forming the boundary line between Africa and Ethiopia, its banks, though not immediately peopled by man, are the resort of numbers of wild beasts and animals of various kinds, giving birth in its course to dense forests of trees. It travels through the middle of Ethiopia under the name of Estepus, okay? A word which signifies in the language of the nations who dwell in those regions, quote, water issuing from the shades below, end quote. Let us now look at the Cometic star clock. Will you? Sour sop tea. That's good for your livers and your immune system. Be sure that you drink some of it. The Cometic calendar is a highly complex system of tracking astronomical and astrological phenomena. Let us say that again. The Cometic calendar, okay, is a highly complex system of tracking astronomical and astrological phenomena. That almost entails that the minds of today really cannot conceive and perceive that which the Kemites were depicting to us. You really have to be, me personally, an incarnation or reincarnation to be able to actually give full and precise actual facts of what actually takes place and took place prior. Huh? For we know that times have changed. Things has been revised. In fact, I think your clock went back yesterday, didn't it? So it's obvious that somebody is playing with time. Whether to keep us out of balance, off course, or whether it is to take us into new and greater heights. One for their self have to decide themselves. So this Cometic calendar, it is designed to keep track of various cycles of nature so that the government of priest kings could coordinate the affairs of the nation with the cycles of nature. Richty Wimbley, spelled Rkhty, Wimbley, and Frederick Rees in their monumental calendar project commissioned by the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization, which is ASCAC, describes the Cometic calendar as a situation where several different clocks based on different phenomena are running together and the times they keep are averaged in order to incorporate them into one system. Situation, and we quote, where several different clocks based on different phenomena are running together and the times they keep are averaged in order to incorporate them into one system. Cometic day is called Haru and is associated with the apparent motion of the sun around the earth. A month is called Abed, Abed, or Abed, and has 30 Haru. The Abed is broken up into 3 10-Haru decans, which can be viewed as a 10-day week. Follow me now. 5 days are added at the end of the year to make the count of Haru more in sync with the 365-day solar year. A year was known as the Peret Sopdet, that's PeretSopdet, or, in other words, coming forth of Cyrus. The rational wobble of the earth causes the star Cyrus to drop below the horizon of the northern hemisphere for about 70 days out of the year. The first day of its return above the horizon is known as the Helical rising of Cyrus, because Cyrus rises with the sun. The helical rising of Cyrus marks the Perit Sabdet and the beginning of a new 365-day Haru count. Beyond the count of Haru, the Cometic Calendar also kept a record of biannual solistic and equinoxes, annual inundations, floods of the Nile, and the long year, 1,460-year Sothic or Cyrus cycle. The great year, 26,000-year procession of the equinoxes composed of 12 ages. So the annual inundation of the Nile determined the agricultural season within the Nile Valley, and therefore had to be forecast with precise accuracy every year. There were 3 seasons within ancient Egypt: Shamu, which is the inundation of the water; Peret, which we have said to grow forth, growing season; and then there was Akhet, which is ripe plant, the harvest season. Careful astronomical observations were maintained to know the exact date of the inundations. This was necessary because the Kemites were aware that a solar year, the time it takes for the Earth to make a complete rotation around the sun, is slightly longer, about a quarter of a day, 6 hours than the 365-day Haru count. Now, let me say this. We have flat earthers out here who do not think that the Earth actually rotates around the sun, and that the Earth is not wobbling or spinning. That's all well and fine. We're not going to get into the semantics of how we are geographically laid out and mapped out throughout our existence, which I do feel is important. Don't get me wrong. But this is not the topic here. This is not what we bring in here. We're just merely looking at conceptions and views. Like I said, information is to be dissect, digest, and then manifest according to each one's own capacity to have its view of the project knowledge that's being depicted or expressed. In other words, everybody is on different levels. No one person is going to see the same. This is why everyone is important. So let us go on. As a result, every 4 calendar years, a day is lost. 4 times 1/4 of the day equals 1 day. What this means is that if the inundations was expected to occur on July 23rd, in 4 years, it will occur on July 22nd, and 4 more years. You see, it will occur on July 21st, etc., etc. If the New Year calendar day is left to float unaltered, it will take 1,460 years for the inundation to move through the entire calendar and occur once again on July 23rd. Check? So the Kemites tracked this cycle and called it Sabdet, okay, which is a Sothic cycle. The Sabdet cycle was also known as the long year. The long year is 1,460 years. The Sabdet cycle measured the precision of the days in the Cometic Calendar. Day 1 of the long year began with the helical rising of the star Cyrus, when this celestial event coincided with the inundation of Shamu. In other words, the long year began the day that Cyrus rose above the horizon at sunrise on the first day of Shamu. In 4 years, the helical rising will occur a day later than the first day of Shamu. The helical rising continues to float through the count of the days in 4-year rhythm until around the year 1400, at which, the year 1460, at which time the helical ring of Cyrus again occurs on the first day of the Shamu. Tracking the long year allowed the priest to make accurate calculations as to the first day of the inundation without making the calendar static and fixed through the use of elite years. The Kemites tracked an even longer astronomical cycle. It is called the Great Year. Many of you have probably heard that before. The Great Year is connected with the Equinox Sunrise and is also known as the precession of the equinoxes. The equinox is the day that the Earth's rotation causes the sun to appear to travel directly over the equator. Appear to travel. On this day, usually the first day of spring and autumn, there is equal time of the day and night. Equinox literally means equal night. So the Cometics pay close attention to the celestial backdrop of the Equinox Sunrise. Earth rotational wobble causes the constellations rising on the eastern horizon at the Equinox Sunrise to shift with time. More details on the constellations later in our reading. All right? So the Earth's rotation is not a perfect spin. It is more like a wobble in which the axis north-south pole is at a 23-degree angle from due north. As a result, when the Earth rotates daily and revolves annually, the orbital relationship between the Sun and the Earth and the fixed stars constellation shift with time. I'm not going to expound on that. Just take it for what it is and look at it. Use the mathematics and use the science in which was just revealed when we were speaking of the Earth rotation. The constellations appear to shift. Let me say this. I equate this information to myself. You are the Dogon. In fact, you are the very being of the Dogon tribe. You see? You're the very descendant. And we're talking about you being right here in the wilderness of North America. So we're all actuality. We're making mention and speaking of self. For we know that all is one in the same. And the universe is mental. You see? And in fact, out of the word universe, it clearly states that it is you and I versing, coming together, having affairs, having adventures. This is why we call it universe. See, without you, there'd be nothing. And without the material that you see in front of you, there would be no you. It is all one and the same. So I'm not going to get too deep. We want to keep with the reading about the constellations in the Dogon tribe. So the constellations appear to shift 1 degree every 72 years. Check. In other words, if one observes the stellar backdrop of 72 consecutive equinoxes, sunrises. Over time, the constellation rising behind the sun will shift about 1 degree from when the equinox sunrises first started being observed. 1 degree of scope on the Earth's planetary scale approximates 4 suns in length. This precision of the equinox takes approximately 25,920 years to complete. All right? 72 years times 360 degrees full circle of the zodiac equals 25,920 years. This is the length of Earth's great year. All right? So the Kemites divided the great year into 12 great months. These great months were considered to be distinct global ages that had profound impact on human culture. Each global age was roughly 2,000 years in duration. During a shift of global ages, the whole cultural expression of the Nile Valley will transform. These transformations will coincide with the equinox sunrise, processing from one constellation to another. The equinox sunrise occurs in 12 distinct constellations throughout the 26,000 great year. It takes about 2,160 years for the equinox sunrise to process through each constellation. So the equinox sunrise actually recesses or moves backward through the zodiac in relation to the sun, moon, and other visible planets. In other words, the equinox recession starts in Pisces, the 12th sign, and moves backward through Aquarius, Capricorn, and etc. So the sun cycle, however, begins in Aries, the first sign, and processes through Taurus, Gemini, and etc. Herodotus recounts that Egyptian priests told him, we quote, 4 times in this period, so they told me, the sun rose contrary to his wont. Twice he rose where he now sets, and twice he set where he now rises. 4 times 26. 4 times 26,000 equals 104,000 years. This time frame is 2,000 years after the warmest peak of the Imean epoch around 125,000 years ago. It appears that the Kemites tracked the precision of the equinox with a specific intention. In the eras after the Imean epoch, the primordial ancestors, or primordial if you want to pronounce it, of the Cometic shaped their culture to reflect the cycles of the change in the Sahara ecosystem and the corresponding placement of star formations. Excuse me. So they saw corresponding patterns in the constellations behind equinox, sunrises, and cycles of desertification and reforestation of the Sahara. At times during this 26,000 great year, the wobble and tilt of the Earth exposes the northern half of the globe to increased solar radiation. It is during these times of the Sahara is transformed into green oasis. When the Earth's wobble orients the southern hemisphere towards the sun, the northern hemisphere experiences an ice age. During these periods, the Sahara dries up and the vast areas once water bound exposes their sandy bottoms to the surface. It is known geologically that usually where there is sand, there's also water nearby. Wow, right? We knew that. Or did we? This is relevant because it shows that the practical purpose of tracking the precision of the equinoxes in ancient Kemet was to be able to forecast the cycles of desertification of the Sahara. According to the Eminian timeline established by the Coulthard roughly 22,000 years ago, 20,000 BCE, the Sahara entered a desertification that lasted to 10,500 years ago, about 8,500 BCE, some 12,000 years ago, which is 10,000 BCE. So the only place to live in the Sahara Desert was the Nile Valley. You see? The Sahara was devoid of surface water except the Nile and reached 250 miles further south than it does today. I hope this information was some of benefit. In another later time, I'm going to come back and read some more of this information. It is very thoughtful information, particularly if you have been studying and looking into other cultures, ideologies, and theologies. Of course, it will be somewhat difficult to put together the precise idea in which one has about the geographical location in which they are existing in. You see, Earth is matter. Earth is tangible. Earth is the fifth or the third density, I'm sorry. Okay? It's solid. We go from gas, liquid, to solid. And so, with this information, yes, and with the people with their limited ability to decode and dissect information, may not for malice purposes, but just give, I'm not even going to say misinformation, but information in which they think that is relevant. But here's the point. Here's the idea. No matter whether you're on a flat plane or surface that is infinite and is bounded by electromagnetic spheres and fields, or whether you're wobbling and floating and spinning on a ball, our objective is, as deities, not human beings, and this is not for everybody. This message is only for the ears who it concerns, okay? Is to take yourself to the greater heights and establish that what you came here to do. This is a beautiful piece of information. We know Dogon, the Dogon tribe does exist. You know? We just can't take our information that we have and say that none of it has any relevancy to it, for that wouldn't be wise. We must be aware that if we can conceive it, then there is some relevancy to it. And if you're conceiving and perceiving, then you're making mention of from the idea in which it's manifesting. You see? So it makes it real. They told you that in the Matrix. It is your participant, your mind, that makes it real. There's no such thing as good or bad. Either you are on an incline or a decline. Either you're a low vibrant being or a high vibrating being. For character isn't developed by being at peace, feeling comfortable, and living a delicious life. Character is only developed through pain, suffering, adversity, trials, and tribulations. It is when those times you must put on your best suit. It is at those times where we want to see how you handle things. You see, because oftentimes we fail. Some people, we talk a good life. We depict to other people that life is delicious and luscious and phenomenal, extravagant. But in the inside, there's chaos and turmoil, mayhem. You know? This is the state that keeps one on a low vibratorial scale. When I'm unable to come up out of that human mind, that monkey mind, this is what keeps me stagnated. And misery loves company. So there are beings who love to see you fail. There are beings that don't want you to rise no higher than the human being. Some of y'all, they don't want you rise no higher than a nigga. This is why they call you dog. This is why they keep showing you all the foolishness on television. This is why they keep the illogical and irrational music at an 808 pumping in your ear over the airwaves. You see? That's not a mistake. That's because you Dogonian. And in your so-called junk DNA lies all your answers. If it didn't, it wouldn't be junky. You see? This society would comprehend more than 3% of what DNA operates in and of. So I think I've said enough for now. All right. We'll come back at another day and time with some more ideas for you. And hoping that when I do see you again, you have evolved in higher degrees as Jesus did. You claim you follow Jesus. But I don't see nobody rising. I don't see nobody doing more works than Jesus. So I figure out slowly but surely bring you the type of information that you need so that you can be like your Lord and Savior. All right? So until the next time that I see you, I wish for you to take care of yourself and have a great life on purpose.